a NBA player to a veteran in your mindset?
I think when I got to the Clippers,
Uh-huh.
being around those older players, I think I was the youngest player on that team during that time. Six. I was the youngest one of the youngest. Me, DJ, and Blake, like the youngest. Then Austin, of course, but other than that, I was the youngest. Then they started trading on other teams, and then when I left there, went to New Orleans. Then I was like a vet. So I was the coach is like, oh, these different defensive schemes. What did y'all do against this? How did y'all guard this person? And I'm like, what? And then I was like, oh, okay. So then I actually like started embracing it like one thing and nothing of it. So I would ride back to the house and I'm like, damn, all right, that shit transitioned quick.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's when I really started realizing. After when I left the Clippers, that's when it hit me. When I got to New Orleans, that's when it hit me like you a vet. And then we played the Clippers. I went and talked to Doc. I'm like, I appreciate you. And he was like, why? I'm like, all them times you used to be like, yo, Wes, listen, do this, learn this person, learn this, learn our offense inside and out, learn these defensive schemes, pay attention, do that. I said, now I see why. And he was like, he started laughing. He was like, okay. And he was like, still looking at me like, I'm like, because they're asking me, like, basically my intake on to help them. So you being on me and you really like trying to help me help myself, basically. So I appreciate you. So
got my co-host. He ends the show with me. DB, you
Mr. West.
Hey, do you play that a lot? Do you play Mr. West?
My oldest son is West, so I play that for him.
Oh, okay. Wake up, Mr.
West. Yes. Man, glad to have you in the shop with us today, man. One of the things I always wondered about is how often do you get to talk to Jeanie Buss, like as a Laker player?
During that time, it wasn't as much. Her brother was there a lot. So he was there a lot, but I didn't really get to talk to her as much. She would be sitting courtside a lot. I mean, not courtside, like right behind courtside. She'll be there a lot, but I didn't really get to talk to her as much. But she would be there overseeing and looking. You know what I mean? So she was like, wanted to come around, but during like, I guess it was a weird time for her during whatever was going on with the fam during that time. I think she's trying to kind of.
He'll come back in. You got to bring that whole answer back. Your Wi-Fi went out.
I do.
Yeah, you got to bring that whole answer back. Yeah, you say she used to sit behind the bench.
You got that. He got that Clipper Wi-Fi. You get to use your Laker Wi-Fi right now.
Now she kind of shied away from it. She came around some, but she didn't come around a lot. She was always at the games and everything, but she I guess like during the family circumstances or whatever was going on, she didn't really come around as much, but she was there. Always her brother that was around more.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to deal with him being in charge. Not in terms of a person, but in charge of being in charge of basketball operations. You know.
I already know.
Yeah, it is what it is. So we all have something different from what Mamba mentality means to us. What exactly does Mamba mentality mean to you, especially having a connection with Kobe?
I think just basically embracing every situation head on. I don't think I would say being assertive. I think taking everything as a bull by the horn. Say if you want to use any type of metaphors, but for me, I just think really just being assertive in my per se, just speaking on my behalf. I just think about just really anything that you're feeling second guessing yourself on, just how you will really do it, how you will really feel. I think you just go ahead and do it. I mean, and deal with the circumstances, the consequences, or if that's whatever the case may be, deal with it afterwards. Just do it with your heart.
And so when you were growing up, who was the most inspirational persons in your youth outside of your parents?
My brother.
And why so?
my older brother. I mean, we were 17 years apart, and he had influence on my life, just how just being there. He wasn't a basketball player, but he played with me. He basically was pushing me and just definitely took me in, especially when I left high school. Moved in with him, driving me across the country to go to certain prep schools, and really just looked after me during that time. But so during that time, like I said, my brother.
Being a big brother, I like to hear that too. You know, when we deal with the professional fighters, boxers, MMA fighters, football players, track athletes, and all of that, these guys usually have to change their diet when they're getting ready for a game or an event. So for a professional basketball player, what's the diet like? And did you have the same diet as a rookie as you did, after becoming a veteran?
Nah.
No, not even close. I was eating all type of fast food. There was a pizza spot below my condo when I was a rookie. I was eating pizza, but it wasn't like no gourmet chef made. It was like one of those Serapino Papa John's. I was eating pizza and breadsticks before the game, but then it changed. Like every year, it changed, and it got to the point where when I got to LA, it was green juices and fish, and quinoa, and I mean, like, yeah, what is this green? I'm like, quinoa. What? I don't even know how to spell that. So I'm eating this and all that. So
That was with a K.
yeah. So it slowly started to change. So I think it was beneficial because I could feel the difference.
Oh, for sure.
I could feel I wasn't heavy. I didn't have. I woke up lighter, drinking all this water and all that. So yeah.
Yeah. Are there any youngsters that you are mentoring right now, out of Houston or out of LA, or just out of the Texas area or out of LA?
Honestly, not as much as I would want to. I mean, I talked to Sandarius a lot. I talked to Austin earlier. I talked to Julius here and there. I talked to this handful of people I still come across as I play with. I reach out to and talk to. So yeah, I don't think it's not one person. I think when I reach out, I talk to everybody.
Right. And do you also instill like the work ethic and stuff that you got from Kobe, or those little tidbits, and also telling them about the diet, or is it just about the game itself?
I wouldn't even think I wouldn't even say it's about the game. I would just say it's just about the mental. Basketball part is easy. You put in all those reps. If you have the mental side of it, that's the easiest. Like if you can get that down as far as locking in your confidence, locking in everything else, and fighting that battle with yourself, the basketball side is easy because you've been doing this forever. How long?
Yes, indeed. What would you say would be your career highlight?
I would say shaking David Stern's hand, getting that 800 win with Coach Boeheim. Yeah, it was just basically those two.